shows that it is connecting, and I'm going to hit go live right now on Facebook. It shows that that's starting too. It shows that that's starting. Facebook looks like it's starting, and I think everything else is starting today. It is 12:58. We have 2 minutes to go. If you're watching a recording of this, do go ahead and fast forward a couple minutes because, we're just going to hang out for just a minute as I'm going to finish getting ready with everything here. Okay. So, again, if you're watching the recording of this, we're not going to start for a couple minutes, so definitely fast forward a couple minutes because, we get started early to make sure that all of our technology stuff is working properly and so that we don't suffer the problems we have in the past few weeks and find out last minute that, oops. Okay. So, okay. Hello, Andy. Okay. So, that's okay. Let me see. How is that working out for you, Andy? So, hi everyone. We're going to get started here in 1 minute. I see people are starting to pop on. Andy and I are still testing out our the audio between us. Looks like I didn't have us plugged in all the way. So, the things that happen. Okay. So, technologically today, it seems to be happening pretty well. That means the beginning of week 3 of good technology. Yay! Again, if you're watching a recording of this, you could have just fast forwarded to this point. We're going to start in about 30 seconds. I think I got everything here. Let's see. Materials, wire, lip gloss on. It's all good. Okay, you ready to start, Andy? Oops! Actually, I forgot one thing in the microwave. Hold on. Oh, I forgot to make my pickle. I'm going to make it really quickly here, and then we're going to start. Oh, the smell. The smell. Okay. Yep, warm pickle. That'll count later. That'll work later. There we go. All right. Here we go. Hi everyone, welcome to Q Talk Live. It is Monday, week 13, Minimal Metal Monday, and today we are going to make the loopy bracelet. It looks a lot like the spiral chain, but it's not. Actually, this is a chain that goes back pretty far, and they used to call it the heart bracelet. Of course, I couldn't call it the heart bracelet or the heart link. And in the past, when they do this, it's actually quite small. It's probably almost as small as that 5mm loop that I made there. So anyway, so I decided to call it the loopy bracelet because it's a loop and a loop and a loop and a loop. Get it? Haha. Anyway, that said, let's get started. Let's go over the materials that we need, and then I'm going to show you how to make it. So, as always, on Mondays, it's Minimal Metal Monday because it is a sort of part of this book. It is a oh, why can I never remember how to say this? Anyways, an extension of the book. So it's always 18 gauge wire and 16 gauge wire with 5mm or 8mm jump rings, and some solder will always get you to the finished product. So what will you need? Today you'll need 18 gauge wire, either copper, silver, or brass. Remember, it always has to be bare wire and not coated wire because you can't solder on coated wire. It presents a bit of a conflict. You need about 2 inches of 16 gauge wire. That's going to make the clasp today. And then you need a bunch of 5mm jump rings. Now, if you want the instruction sheets to any of the projects on Monday, it is on our website at theurbanbeater.com, and it's only $5. It's our way of trying to generate a little bit of revenue to pay for these classes and all the materials and whatnot. So do consider contributing. So thank you so much for everybody who has. That said, the tools that you will need today is a multi-looping plier or a pair of round nose pliers. You can also use the AccuLoop round nose pliers too. That will help keep things really consistent for you. I'm going to use the multi-looping pliers today, and by the way, all of these tools are listed in the description of the video, and the links are provided there if you need to order any of these items. You will also want a pair of chain nose pliers of any kind, a pair of side cutters. I like using my Lindstrom Ultra Flush cutter because it reduces the need to file. You know how I feel about filing, which brings me to the file. You'll need a file of some sort, either just a little flat needle file or even the student file will work. A bench block will help you, or it's sort of optional today. You will need it for the class, but as far as the links themselves, it is optional. You will need a chasing hammer. Oh yeah, look at this baby. I finally got myself a little Fretz chasing hammer. Yep, I finally did it. I know it's sort of funny. We have all these tools here, but yet I don't indulge in everything. And I decided, you know what? I deserve a Fretz chasing hammer. So if you deserve a Fretz chasing hammer, I put a link up there for you. You'll need a 5/8 dowel rod. You can also use a 1/2 inch dowel rod if you want to make smaller links. That's sort of up to you too. Solder and a solder kit, torch, and all that good stuff. You know, the typical stuff to get things soldering is the other stuff you'll need. Okay, that's it. Pretty simple. Today's project is really straightforward, and we're going to get there really quickly. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take out a length of wire for yourself. In the instructions, you're going to need something like 28 to 30 inches of wire. I'm just going to cut a few inches here because I need to anneal this wire. Okay, it'll make life a lot easier to make the loops and whatnot. So cut a small length for yourself and anneal it. So I'm sorry, Andy? Okay, so I just made a little coil here and we're going to anneal it just by heating it, right? Annealing is the process of heating metal to open up those molecules to make it more malleable, to make the metal more malleable. So I just heat it till it sort of changes colors. It's just a gentle anneal today, just to make it more pliable. Quench it in some water. There we go. Okay. Set that aside. I'll pickle this later. Alright. Take out your dowel rod and wrap. Just wrap it all the way around. And basically you're making large jump rings. It's all you're doing. Okay. And I'm just pushing the ends down a little bit. It just makes my life a little bit easier. And we're going to cut right from the end all the way across to make those jump rings. So my bracelet here, it's sort of haphazard because I sort of screwed up somewhere along the line and I made links to different sizes, but it's approximately 11 links to make a 7-inch bracelet with the clasp. So you'll gauge right in there as to how many you're going to need. Okay. So I'm also going, because these are ultra flush cutters, I don't necessarily have to file. It doesn't leave a burr except on one side, so I'm flipping my cutters over and snipping that burr off so I don't have to file. Remember, when you're cutting, the side that is flat is a side is going to face the side of the wire that you want to keep. Otherwise, you're going to have to file those burrs down. So I'm just going to snip these off. instead of filing. If you don't have an ultra flush cutter, just take out your file and file that end, okay? Because at some point these ends are going to have to meet. Alright, so then next up, actually I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit for you here. Let's see. Zoom. There we go, much better. Alright, so to make the loop, you'll need to make a 3mm inside diameter loop. So on my multi-looping plier, it is the second size, and I'm coming in, can you see that? It's right about 1/8 of an inch from the edge, and I'm going to just bend it around, just like so. And I keep bending and making a full loop. Can you see that? It comes all the way around. And then with my hands, because the metal is so soft, because I annealed it, notice I'm coming around, and because I already have a nice curve, I'm going to get nice even circles. So dowel rod was 5/8 of an inch, and then I'll take this out and bend this down, just like so. See? And I'm bringing the ends together, and those have to come perfectly together for soldering, and it needs to stay together without any assistance. Okay, I need a little bit of filing here because I didn't cut straight. And you're going to work it just like a jump ring, okay? Until the ends stay together, just like so. Okie dokie. Yep, there's my first one. I'll do it again. Again, I'm going to start at approximately 1/8 inch from the end of the wire. And I'm just going to twist it all the way around, like so. Chain making is all about consistency. And it's really, I think it's really great practice for beginner fabricators, because you know, you're just repetitive motion over and over and over again. Okay? You know, practice makes perfect, that kind of thing. Alright, so I can already see this end needs to be snipped because I didn't snip it earlier. Just like so. And we're going to work this down and bend it around. You see that? Okay, and I'm just going to work those ends until they stay together like so. Whatever you need to do to get those ends to stay together, but try really hard not to warp anything. And another thing too, the reason why I start 1/8 of an inch off the edge is because I like to have my my ends meet on the side, because it sort of disguises it if my soldering isn't great. But of course you could have done it this way. You could have started in the middle and gone like so. But that would put your end at the top. If you're comfortable with this, so be it. I don't think that there's really a right or wrong way of doing this. You see how I'm just sort of working it, because I want a round circle instead of, you could bring it together, it becomes an oval, but I want a round circle. So I'm just going to bend it down like so and keep working that. You see? So you could have done it in the middle and then soldered up on top. That's up to you, okay? Whatever makes you happy. But again, it's all about consistency. How consistent you make every link makes a very consistent chain. Alright, so we're ready to solder. I have a bunch of links here that I'll solder at the same time. I like to do production style when it comes to soldering. I'm sorry, when it comes to chain making, because what it does is it makes for a very consistent piece, right? Very consistent chain. So why am I not pickling these pieces? Because I cut the ends and I filed all the ends. So there's really no fire scale in between those joints. So it should be fine. But you can go ahead and pickle it if you feel more comfortable with that. I'm just going to move right along here. Okay, there's one more, and I'm going to put one more out here because I want a few links to work with today. So I got these started yesterday. Thanks everyone who was twitching with me yesterday. I hope you've had a lot of fun. So yesterday I was making July's projects, minimal metal projects, and still working through that. Almost done. I have to figure out one more project for next month. Okay, so I'm putting a little bit of copper solder right at the joint. This one is not quite together. Move that together. If you're doing silver, you'll be using hard solder on the joints. Question always is, can you use something other than paste solder? Absolutely. You can use whatever you want. I just find paste solder to be really easy when I'm doing something like this. It just puts it right at the point and then it's done. You know, I don't have to flux it. I don't have to worry about little chips flying away. Okay. So I'm simulcasting today on Twitch and YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook Live. So if you're out there, say hello. No lurking around here. Let us know you're there. Let us know where you're watching from. That's even more fun. Can't believe that we've had 18 countries watching these videos. So okay, so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to heat the each link. And if it's silver, you got to heat the whole thing and then the joint. This being copper, we don't have to do that. We're just going to heat until you see the solder becomes liquid metal and it goes right into the joint. Very simple. You know, it happens really quickly because these are really small pieces. So just don't overheat because you'll melt. If you see that your metal is starting to reticulate or look a little like it's been warping or it's warping, that means you've overheated and the metal is about to melt. So don't do that. My quench bowl is on the side. I'm going to stick this right into the quench bowl. I don't think you can hear it sizzling. I know it's one of the most satisfying noises that we get to have when we're doing this. But anyway, okay. Quench bowl. Let's pull these out. There they are. See what else I found in my quench bowl. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick these in the pickle. And I'm going to save myself a little bit of grief. And I'm just going to take one of these links that didn't work and link them all together. That way I don't have to dig all of them out, you know, individually. So I'm linking them all together and it's going right into my hot pickle. Hot pickle is going to make life a lot easier. Everything will happen a lot faster. There's no sitting around waiting for it to happen. If you're new here, what does pickle do? Pickle removes fire scale. Fire scale is what just happened when I heated the wire and it created all that patina. So you need to remove the fire scale for soldering. And here, because it's sort of ugly, you know, it brings it back. It brings our metal back to life. So the question, if you were fusing instead of soldering, would you have the joint away from the loop? Yeah, I would. But you know, the thing is, you could fuse a loop just a little bit too and it'll make it come together. So either way, it works. Okay. So I personally would keep the joint away from the loop. Alright, so copper tongs to pull out my pieces. Oh, I need a little bit longer. While it's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and pull out a couple pieces of a couple of jump rings, and I'm just going to open some of these while we're waiting for the links to to pickle. Okay, so when we're opening jump rings, notice I'm twisting, I'm not pulling them aside. That's how you want to open and close jump rings, or else you're going to make them weak. And then it's also distortion, you'll distort the shape. Okay, so I'm using 2 pairs of flat nose pliers. I like my little bent nose pliers, they've worked very well. It was a student who showed me these. I love those. Okay, and it should be ready now. Yep. Alright, so after the pickle, into some quench water to rinse all that acid off. Here we are. Dry it up a little bit. Okay. So, pull it out. Alright, so if your joints aren't great, you do want to go ahead and sand them a little bit, but if your joints are fine, then move on. So you can take out a little bit of sandpaper. I have sandpaper wrapped around a popsicle stick. This makes it a little bit more steady, gives it some leverage to work with. It makes my work a lot easier and faster by having that backing instead of just using sandpaper straight up. And actually, this was a student tip. It's funny, I knew this tip long ago, long before we did it as a student contributed tip, or a viewer contributed tip, but I never got around to doing it. And here, just to show everybody, I did it, and now I've been using it ever since. Like, whoa, okay, you know what it takes to get to this point. So just sand it a little bit. If any of your shapes are not perfect, like this one, it could be a little bit better. I just put it into my chain nose and I just make it perfect. See? So here it's a little wonky. I'm just going to reshape it. I think you can see that. Okay. Again, just to make them all a little bit more alike, and I just sort of gently, don't be too severe with your moves when you're trying to reshape, because you'll just create kinks, right? So just gently, you see that? You can barely see what I'm doing. I can barely see what I'm doing, but it just made it nice again. Okay, so next up is optional. If you want to hammer the links, it gives it a little bit more of a texture. So you can see here. Oops, you see that? It's a flat. It's a flattened look. It just gives it that little bit more. So I'm just going to put this on my bench block, and with my chasing hammer, I'm going to stroke it just like that. My new chasing hammer, right? And I'm going to work my way around. If you're afraid of hitting your finger, what you can do too is you can take out like a dowel rod and hold it. That's helpful. I find that a pencil with an eraser on the end, like so, also is good for saving your fingers. But what do I care? Actually, I sort of do care, because this is the first time in years I actually have nails, because I'm not traveling anymore, moving all that equipment. I'm constantly breaking my nails, so I'm not moving all that equipment, and I have nails. Went to do my nails last week. I threw away all my nail polish. Oops. This is what happened when I clean out. So maybe in the next couple weeks I might have painted nails. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. Just a couple more links here and finish. And we'll solder the jump rings, okay? Almost there. So like I said, easy, easy, easy. It's a great little project, great beginner project. And you know, if you've done this before but haven't done it in a while, it's a great project to jump back in with and get your feet wet. So here I'm just going to insert a link. Oops. Here we go. into a jump ring, 2 links into the jump ring, and where I'm inserting it is through the loop, right? So through the loop, the small loop, and then the big loop. There we go. And I'm just going to continue this way. And oops. There we go. And just work it just like so. Until you achieve the length that you want. Like so. If you have not been able, or if you made all your links different sizes, what I would do is I would lay it out and make it maybe a descending in descending sizes, or just mix it all up, and then it's also intentional, right? So really don't beat yourself up if you don't have the same size links all the way through. Work with it. Make something fun out of it. If you can't seem to get it round, misshapen all of them. Remember, it's meant to be. So you got to work with what you have. Okay? There we are. Those are the links. I'm going to stop there. And let's do, let's solder the jump rings, and then we'll make the clasp. Okay? So soldering the jump rings is a little bit harder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my my fire tweezer, and I'm going to hold it right underneath. Can you see that? Maybe there. I'm holding it right underneath. My opening is right at the top here at 12 o'clock. And then I'm going to take a little bit of solder and put it right on top, just like so. Whoa. No steady hands today. Okay, maybe I should do it with my right hand. Ooh, hold on. Okay, there we go. That's a lot of solder, but I'm not going to use all of it. See that? So stop there. Okay, so just a little bit of solder. I'm going to turn it this way so maybe you can see it better. I'll hold it up just a teeny little bit on there, and then I'm going to take out my torch, move everything out from in front of me, and just hold the heat right there, right at the tip of the jump ring until it solders. I'm not waving it around or anything like that. I'm just going to do it right at the tip there, because you know this torch is so big and the joint and the jump ring is so small that there's no need to move it around. So just hold it right there until it flows, quench it, and do it again. So I'm going to do it again for you, because you know what, the second one changes just a little bit, and here's why. I just quenched this, which means it's wet, right? The solder is never going to stick to it. It's just not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat it gently, just like so. It gets it hot, but I didn't produce any fire scale, and it will help the solder stick. So it gets it warm just a little bit, and it dries it out. So just a teeny little bit of solder, and hold it like so, right on that tip, and it's done. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time for you. Quench it on the side. Again, I don't think you can hear that lovely quench noise. I'm grabbing the jump ring from underneath. Can you see that? Okay, and I'm holding this with the joint at 12 o'clock, so straight up. Okay, so Janet, you asked which is best. What are we talking about? I think we lost track over here to what you're referring. So please do ask that question again. Okay, so I heated it just a little bit to dry it up and warm it up. It'll grab the solder a lot easier. That's a trick with the solder paste. Put solder paste right at the tip, and I'm going to heat it directly right there at the joint. Done. Okay, so you're going to keep doing this until you get all of the jump rings. soldered. Now, do you have to solder the jump ring? You don't have to solder the jump ring, okay? So you can go without soldering the jump ring, but some people are really hard on their jewelry, and it'll help keep it together. But with this 19 gauge jump ring, it should be strong enough to keep it together. By the way, I know I've been getting some complaints about it being 19 gauge and that it's an odd number. Yes, you can use 18 gauge jump rings too. However, I would not use 20 gauge jump rings because I think it is too thin. So here I have a 2-inch piece of 16 gauge wire. I'm going to make the clasp at this point. So I'm going to pull out my round nose pliers, and then we're going to churn. I'm going to make a really tight loop here, and then to get it even tighter, I'm making an S hook as for my clasp. Okay, I'm going to tighten it up with my chain nose just a little bit, and then actually I'm going to move over to a nylon nose plier of any kind. Oops. And see, it doesn't want to churn, so I'm going to help it churn just a little bit more. There we go. I'm just making a decorative thing here, and then I'm going to make a big bend so you can see to make the S. But before I finish that, I'm going to make a loop on the other end too, and it's about 5 millimeters on the other side. Okay, so that's where you're going to attach this to your bracelet. And notice I'm bending it forward just a little bit. Again, this is my design. You can do this any way you want, but this design's making me happy right now, so I'm going with it. And I'm just making a decorative loop for my S hook, like so. Okay. There we are. And bring it in. Okay. Not the world's best S hook today, but we're going with that. And what you do want to do is you want to go ahead and hammer the shoulder here, and that will make it rigid so it doesn't come apart because it is your clasp. These are the nylon nose parallel pliers is what you can use. I just have a cheapy one here because that was the closest thing to me, but I usually use my nylon ones. Okay, so we're just going to hammer this and make it rigid, see, so it doesn't pull apart. Then we're going to add this to, where's my chain? Okay, I lost my chain. Oh, I know, it's in the pickle where I always lose it. Jeez. Okay, yep, in the pickle it was. And okay, coming out of the pickle. Alright, so here I'm going to attach this to, I'm going to attach this to my chain. Just like that. Okay, and look at that. So one of my jump rings did not happen. Don't even know how it fell apart that big, but I would go back and solder that if that happens to you. Sometimes, you know, it comes out of the pickle. You think it's on, but then it comes out of the pickle and it's apart. Well, true test there, isn't it? Oops. So I'm just going to close it up. But I would go back and resolder that and then pickle it. Okay, so that's about it. Okay, there's your chain, and it will just attach to the other end is how that works. So from here, to finish it, we're going to liver sulfur this. So this is liver sulfur. Oh, too bad it's not smell-o-vision. Actually, maybe it's a good thing it's not smell-o-vision. You don't get to smell this. Okay, because it smells horrible. So if you want to oxidize it, you're just going to stick it in, and you'll see it change here very quickly. If you like that, oops, if you like that color, we go with that color. If you want more patina, look at that, it keeps changing. Okay, so it's up to you. Some people don't even do it. I can't say I do it every time. Um, Quite honestly, it's when I need definition or when I'm trying to cover something up that I patina, but typically I don't like patina. I like it pretty much straight up. I like my silver to be bright. I like my copper to be bright. But I do like the green copper stuff. Okay, so here we are. I pulled it out of the liver of sulfur and I rinsed it, because you do want to rinse this off or else it's going to be just smelly. Okay, and then you take out some steel wool and polish it. Okay, I'm trying to make it flat here. Hold on. There we go. And it'll bring it nice. It'll bring it back up. So there will be highs and lows and lots of definition in here. Oops, sorry. And like so. So I'm just brushing it. You could use a brass brush if you want also. It's up to you. You can also throw this into a tumbler to get it polished up. However, I find that in the tumbler it makes it polished, but it still remains patinaed. So if you want like the highs and lows and some of the definition, you want to take it off first with either a brass brush or the steel wool, and then put it into a tumbler to get it shiny. It'll just be shiny black, right? So just get all these little crevices. Any questions today? So looking forward into this week, we have a new project. The step-by-step surprise within starts on Saturday. If you want to jump in on that, you can still order the kit for it. And then on Friday we start a new Zoom with the filigree in between, and I'll show you that project here in a minute. So that's coming up. Next week we are doing the celestial pendant on Monday, and then the continuation of the step-by-step surprise. So I'm excited for next month because we are absolutely going to step up the Zooms, and you know, we're going to do that labradorite project from the cover of Lapidary Journal. I think is going to happen next month in July there. So you can look forward to that. As always, we really appreciate everyone who has taken the time to share our videos, because the only way we can be successful is to ask everyone to help us in contributing, if not monetarily, then through sharing on your social medias. That's what gets the word out, and that's what helps us expand what we are doing. Okay, so here you could play with this forever. I mean, I can just sit here and play, and I can keep yapping, and there it is. Okay, so I've tumbled this piece. I think you can sort of see that here. Hold on. I'll put on this. So this original piece was tumbled, and you can see the difference. Oops, I'm stuck. Okay, here we go. You can see a very slight difference where it's a little bit more polished, the original piece, than the new one. You see? So that's what you get. On the Zooms, if you're the question is, am I looking at people's work as they're going along? If you are working along with me, yes. Not everybody is working along with, but it's a 2-session to allow you to ask questions and come back, but you can always contact in the middle of the week as you're working through the projects. But yes, it is interactive, like we are more so than we're doing here. Anyway, so this is the filigree in between class for the next Zoom if you are interested. Okay, it was a simple project today, and I don't know. I think you guys got it, right? It's pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, throw them out. This is your chance. If not, we're gonna go on and see what the weather's like outside. Yes, I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Yes, it's a turtleneck, cow neck really, because it's freezing. It dropped into the 40s the other day. I'm still freezing. OMG. but that's us. All right. Anybody else? That's it? Okay. Andy, are we good? Okay. So again, thank you everyone for being here and hanging out with me. It was fun. It's Monday, the week 13, and have a great week. We'll see you on Wednesday, and we'll go from there. Okay. All right. Bye.